everyone, and good afternoon. Welcome to our What's New at TravelJoy webinar. My name is Caitlin. I'll be your host today. I am joined in the audience by a few friendly faces from the Joymaker team, Marissa, Lenore, Chelsea, and Heather. They'll be hanging out in the questions tab to help provide answers as we move through today's session. Now, we've created this webinar to introduce you to the latest and greatest additions to the TravelJoy platform from the past few months. Now, before we begin, if you are new to the TravelJoy platform, I'd love to tell you a little bit about who we are. So we are TravelJoy, the all-in-one platform for travel advisors. With our platform, you get a centralized digital workspace to manage clients, create itineraries, and handle payments all in one place. From our full CRM to our itinerary builder, you get access to tools that help you save time, stay organized, look professional, and simplify payments. Now today we'll be discussing a lot of new exciting tools, from multi-traveler forms to our brand new Magic Importer tool, as well as smart proposal options and much more. The best part is this is just the start of many new exciting features to come, and these features start with you. We take great care to listen to the feedback provided by advisors like yourself to ensure that TravelJoy continues to be the tool that helps you run your business successfully. So, thank you for trusting us with that feedback, and please keep it coming. We are always open to hearing what you have to say. Now, before we begin, I'd like to go over some light housekeeping for today's webinar, if I may. This webinar will be recorded and sent to you by email following the conclusion of today's event. If I go a bit too fast, not to worry. You'll be able to review the recording later at your own pace. This recording will also feature the questions tab and chat box from today's webinar. Now, speaking of the questions tab, you'll notice that we have the questions tab open, and questions are welcome. To submit a question, please use the questions tab just below the chat box. It's that little circle with the question mark in it. We are expecting a very large crowd today, so we request that all questions be asked in the questions tab only, as questions that are asked in the chat tab may get lost quickly. We'll try our best to ensure you receive an answer to your question today. However, if we are unable to get everything answered in the allotted time for today's session, please feel free to reach out to us utilizing the blue chat button in the bottom right-hand corner of your TravelJoy account, or email us at hello@traveljoy.com. It's also important to note that we won't be discussing upcoming features or addressing feature requests today. This session is specifically designed to showcase the newest tools currently available on TravelJoy. If you have an idea for a new TravelJoy feature, though, we are always up for that. Drop us a line at hello@traveljoy.com, and we're happy to get that conversation started with the team. Now, with all this in mind, let's go ahead and jump in, because we have a lot to cover today. We'll be moving through around quite a few different topics, so stay with me if you can. We're going to begin with a new support update. So I'm going to change my screens here just very quickly, so bear with me while I do so. And just get rid of this here so we can get into my TravelJoy account and start the fun stuff. All right, so the very first thing that I want to talk about is a new support update that we have. Let's go ahead and get this all up and running. There we go. All right, so an exciting update that you've likely seen is the ability to now chat with our support team. Our team is available from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, to assist you with questions regarding your TravelJoy account. Now, most of the time, you'll be able to chat with one of us live during that time using the chat box located in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, this little guy down here on the right. Our friendly bot, TJ, will try to get you started and try to resolve your question, and if not, get you connected with one of us if we're available. If a Joymaker is not available, TJ will assist you with getting your request submitted, and we'll follow up by email as soon as possible. We have loved chatting with you all live, so please do not hesitate to reach out using this tool if you have any questions at all. Now, the first part that I'm going to get into as far as features are concerned is going to be revolving around the smart proposal and itinerary updates. You have probably noticed a lot of new additions to smart proposals and itinerary builders lately. So the first thing I'm going to do is head into a smart proposal and create one so we can get started. I'm going to be using this dream getaway trip here. I'm just going to close a setting that you might not be able to see on your side. There we go. I'm going to start by creating a smart proposal using that blue create button. Okay, so as you can see, we're highlighting already a feature that we are going to talk about. It'll be next, but I'm going to talk about our settings tab really quickly. So the settings tab has gotten a makeover. You can see it over here on the right-hand side, but if you ever need to get back to it while you are working on your smart proposal or itinerary, you have the settings button here, which will open it on the right-hand side. You can give your trip proposal a title. Woo. Oh, woo, there we go. Nope, can't spell. There we go. A trip. You can do a proposal intro if you need to. Woohoo. Again, yours is probably going to be a little bit longer than mine. You can even change your signature style. So instead of cursive, if you wanted to change this to something a little bit more font forward, you can go ahead and do that by changing the signature using this drop-down menu here. You can update the cover photo to your itinerary or smart proposal using this option here. And for proposals, you'll be able to update the pricing of the deposit and total price of the proposal. So if we say something like deposit is $400, total is $2,000, you're going to see that pricing update up here. And last on this tab, you're going to be able to select the confirmation page that appears, that thank you message that appears on screen when your client approves their proposal. So you're able to select that confirmation template using that drop-down menu there. You also have the option to offer payments on smart proposals. You'll notice there's a little tab up here labeled payment. If we click on this, you'll have the ability to toggle payments on, and this will allow you to accept payments to your trip and group funds using direct payments on TravelJoy. You'll also be able to toggle on whether or not you want to show individual item prices. You can use this toggle to use that tool. You can select your terms and conditions that you'd like your client to agree to upon payment for their trip. You can choose whether or not you want them to pay in full, or if you want them to pay their deposit and final payment. And you can also indicate if you'd like to charge a convenience fee. Direct payments on TravelJoy do feature a processing fee, which you can charge as a convenience fee. You can turn this off and on, and you'll see down here, once you start adding items that have pricing, the pricing will adjust automatically and show you what your overall profit will be. Just making sure I've gone through everything, because just like you, these are new things for me as well. So I want to make sure I'm going through everything with you. But it looks like we've gone through everything on the settings tab. So that's a very exciting addition to the Smart Proposal and Itinerary Builders, and a little bit more organized for you. Now let's talk about a new feature that is going to be a game changer. So yesterday we introduced the new Magic Importer tool to the TravelJoy platform. This tool will allow you to simply upload a PDF of, say, an invoice or an itinerary containing your client's flight booking, hotel reservation, or cruise details. And like magic, those details will be added to your itinerary. This feature works for flight, cruise, and hotel information only at this time. Now, let's take a look at how this works. So we can see the import tool right here at the top of the page. I saw no way in the chat. I love that reaction. If we go into this option, we can either drag and drop files in here, or we can use the click to import files. You won't see this portion on your screen right now. I'm selecting an itinerary that I have already created for a New York trip from my computer, and it's uploading that itinerary now. So what it's going to do is it's going to look for corresponding flight information, hotel information, as you could just see that popped up, or cruise information. Now this links our Hilton Club New York to the same itinerary. So we're going to say add to proposal, because what that's going to do is bring in any photos or descriptions we may have for this hotel automatically. I'll talk a little bit more about that in depth next. Now, as you can see, we have our flight here. If we click into it, our live flight tracking is on. This flight has been found, and we can send our client notifications as well. If we go into the hotel option, we're going to see a description that was automatically imported, as well as photos. And you can pick and choose which photos you'd like to have shown on the itinerary or smart proposal itself. You can get rid of some of these photos if you'd like to, just by hovering over them and using that red X, just to include all that you want to include in this item. Seeing a lot of celebration in the chat. I love it. All right, so what does that look like for cruises? I'm going to also upload a cruise as well. Now, this cruise won't be coming from New York, so you'll have to forgive me if it's not in line with the actual trip that we have for Jane and John Doe here. But I am going to upload a cruise itinerary just to show you what this process looks like. So it's importing that cruise itinerary now, and what it's going to do is match that cruise with what we have in our database. And you're going to be able to select what shows on this item. And again, I'm going to be going through this in depth when we take a look at cruise searches here in a moment. But you'll be able to select which accommodation you want to show. You'll be able to select if you want dining to be included in that. You can even add an entire schedule to your smart proposal or itinerary. It'll break it up with sections. And it definitely is going to be a game changer as far as saving you time. So we definitely wanted to add that in to the smart proposal to make sure that you had everything that you needed. You can add this to the itinerary afterwards. It's gonna get a little messy in here, so I promise you I will show you what cruises look like when you use the cruise search function, which does essentially the same thing. This is just the magic importer, which is gonna take that itinerary, match it to what we have in our database, and pull in that information. Everyone excited? It looks like everyone's pretty excited. I love it. If you are interested in learning more about this feature, we do have a help guide, which I'll be posting in the chat. We just published this yesterday. It goes over how to use the feature in depth and some frequently asked questions. All right, so let's zero in on our hotel search. So we've seen what the magic importer can do. Let's say you're just wanting to search for a hotel on its own. You don't have a document to import. We can absolutely do that. I'm gonna go ahead and use the add item button just below that proposal title card. And I'm going to select lodging. Now, once it opens up on the right-hand side to edit, I'm going to go to the property name. And I'm gonna search for that same hotel that we see here, the Hilton Club, or maybe I'll do the hotel at New York City. Here we go. And I'm gonna search that hotel. It's gonna bring in any information that our database has, and you can see there's some photos already loading. We have that description in here. Again, you can edit that however you need to. And then you can edit the photos. So again, you can hover over them, change them. If you wanted to make this photo a different photo that's down here, we can go ahead and just drag and drop that there and change that main header photo. Now for cruises, we're gonna see that part in depth now. So I'm gonna add a new item using that add item button, and I'm gonna select cruise. Now this looks a little bit different from the hotel search. We have this search cruises button here. And if I click on it, it's gonna open up a new pop-up to search the cruise. So I'm gonna be searching for Royal Caribbean. I'm gonna search the ship, which is Freedom of the Seas. And I'm going to input the date for this cruise. So 05/12/2025. Once that's input, we're gonna wait and see if it finds the cruise, which it does. It gave us that nice green success message. And again, just like we saw when we were using the magic importer tool, we're going to be able to select what we want to show. Sutra, I hope that was a good shut up. So we have accommodations, dinings, activities, entertainment, health and fitness, kids and teens, and schedule. So again, you can select what you want to show on this item. And it's also going to build out that schedule again using sections. So it's not just going to be one item for the cruise. It's going to break it up into all the applicable items. So if we, let's say we aren't going to do kids and teens and we're not really interested in health and fitness, and then we can select the actual cabin. So let's say we have, you can see how many photos are associated with each cabin. We'll say spacious ocean view balcony. And then we can just simply add it to the itinerary. So again, it's gonna get a little noisy in this itinerary, but as you can see, it's already doing its job. So we have our section that lets us know what cruise this is. And we have all of these items. So we have the Freedom of the Seas item. We have the spacious ocean view balcony item that gives them a little bit more detail on their cabins. Dining, activities, and you can see all these photos were also placed in here as well. And entertainment, and it starts breaking up the days if you choose to use that scheduling option to show you where your locations are gonna be. So we can see where we're off to on Wednesday the 14th. Very, very, very exciting. So we do have guides for both of these features as well, and I'm going to share them in the chat. And as mentioned, you will get a copy of the chat as well as the questions in the recorded version of today's webinar. So you'll be able to access these links later if you need to. All right, moving right along to our next updates. So now that we have built a tremendous monster of a smart proposal, we can go ahead and start cleaning this up a little bit. But how do we do this, you say? Well, you could just go one by one, delete these, and go through the entire pop-up process. Are you sure you want to delete this? Yes. Actually, now we have bulk actions. So you can select multiple items on your smart proposal and either choose to delete them, duplicate them, or hide them, which is pretty exciting. So I'm going to get rid of a few of these actions. I'm going to keep 2 of those hotels just for a later documentation of another feature. I'm just going to click on the things that I want to get rid of. And I'm a little zoomed in, so my clicker may have some trouble doing this. Whoop, yep, see, little too zoomed in on my side. Just click on down which ones you want to get rid of. Boop, 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 boop. And then see this little bar at the very bottom? This is where you have your bulk actions. You can select to delete. Are you sure you want to delete these 18 items? I sure do. It looks pretty messy in here. And there they go. So that saves you a little bit of time as well if you are working on a pretty lengthy proposal, or if you are working with smart proposal options, which is the perfect segue into our next feature. So let's talk about this. Previously, you may have created an entirely new smart proposal for each option you wanted your clients to consider for a trip. Now you can offer multiple options for your clients to choose from on a single proposal. This includes what you'd like to offer as far as multiple hotels, different activities, types of cruise cabins, and more. And not to brag, but it does all of that while looking pretty darn good too. So let's talk about how to create smart proposal options. So the very first step to creating a smart proposal option is to use the Add Section button. We're going to start with a section. Once we have added that section, we're going to navigate over here to the right, and I'm just going to give our section a name. We're going to say hotels, or hotel options maybe. And then I'm going to use this little toggle right here for offer options, and I'm going to switch it to yes. Now you'll notice that changed the icon of the section to a little checklist. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move a couple of these hotels that we imported underneath this section. And I'm going to add one more just to give you the full range. So let's add another hotel. We'll do this. And let's say the Maxwell. I believe it's New York. There we go. It's going to automatically pull that information as we've seen previously. We've got our description and our photos here. I'm going to get rid of a few of these photos just to make space. And again, totally up to you. You can customize however you'd like. Just give our clients an idea of what to expect and get rid of anything that might not be applicable. And I like this photo a little bit, so I'm going to move that there. Perfect. All right, so are you ready to see what this looks like to your clients? I'm going to go ahead and send this to our client, Jane Doe. I happen to have access to her email, so this will be easy to demonstrate for you. I'm going to share the proposal using this blue share button. And I do want to point out here, you can see where those individual pricings come into play. You can add them here if you'd like to. I'm going to share the proposal, send it. Oh, maybe not, because I didn't. I have to put in a supplier cost. So again, this is all new features for me too. So there might be some things that I learned along the way as well. So we do need to put in a supplier cost for each of these hotels. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll click into the item and scroll on down. As you can see, you can put in your supplier cost here when you have accept payments turned on and those individual pricing payments turned on in the settings tab. We can put in the supplier cost. We'll say this is going to be a $1,200 stay. And you can even add a markup to this by using this toggle here and using the slider to add the markup, which your client won't see. They'll only see this total price listed here. I'm going to add another supplier cost to this item here. We'll say it is $1,200 and one more to this bottom one. I won't be showing the markup portion again just because we just went through that, but gives you a good idea. Alrighty, so now I'm going to share this with Jane. We have that send option now. I'm going to be able to customize the email and send it off. So away that goes. And if I access Jane's email inbox, we're going to see that proposal. Jane's going to be able to view that trip proposal. And you'll notice we still see that check mark option for the section for hotel options. So this gives your client an idea that they're going to need to be selecting something. And you'll notice there is a select for approval button. So you can add as many of these sections for options as you want. As long as your client makes a selection in each of those sections, they'll be able to move forward with completing their approval of their proposal. So we have that select for approval here for the Hilton Club, the hotel. We see it in that top right-hand corner. And we've got the stay at the Maxwell, all set to go. Let's say we want to stay at the hotel at New York City. Once we've made all of our selections, up at the top right-hand corner, they'll be able to approve and pay. So if your payments are not enabled for Smart Proposals, this will just be an approve button. But if not, they can approve and complete their payment right on the Smart Proposal. That'll be transferred to your group and trip funds, and then you'll be able to pay your supplier via wire or virtual credit card or withdraw your markup. So very, very fun process for collecting payments as well as allowing for options on Smart Proposals. Awesome. Now I am going to post another link to our guide on Smart Proposal options. And just as a reminder, I'm seeing a lot of questions in the chat box. We won't be able to answer questions in the chat box. If you do have questions, please place them in the questions tab. As a reminder, you will be getting a recording of this event too. So if you'd like to see anything done again, highly recommend checking out that recording so that you can pause, rewind it however much you need to. All right, and a big thank you to our Joy Makers who are answering questions in the questions tab. There is quite a few in there, so thank you all so much. We are going to be moving on to the next thing on Smart Proposals, which is going to be hiding items. So now that Jane has kind of gone through the process of selecting which items she'd like to approve, we're going to refresh our page on TravelJoy. And because a payment hasn't been made, I might need to make some quick tweaks here to show you what that's going to look like. So let me do this really quickly. I'm going to turn off the payment portion, head back to Jane's proposal so we can complete the actual approval of the proposal. Since I don't have a credit card that'll work on direct payments, I want to make sure we can show you the full extent of this. Let me just plug in my computer as well. All right. So once Jane selects the hotel that she wants, which I believe was the hotel, and selects approve proposal, she'll get the thank you message that appears. Again, this is if payments are not enabled on the Smart Proposal. And if we head back to that trip, we'll get that congratulatory banner that we normally see. And if we head into the proposal itself or itinerary now, as it has been approved, you're going to notice these items that we originally had added on that were not selected are now hidden. So you can delete them if you'd like to. You can keep them there if you'd like. Your client's not going to see these anymore when they return to their itinerary. If you ever need to show something again, you can click the eye icon and it's going to show it on the proposal or itinerary moving forward. You can use this even if you're not using options. You'll be able to use the hide option however you need to. Perfect. Alrighty, folks. And I believe this is our last piece that goes around the itineraries and Smart Proposal options. You can now archive your Smart Proposal or itinerary so that your client can no longer access it. The best way to do this is by heading to the Files tab, locating the three-dot menu next to the folder, and selecting Archive. Now, why would you need to use this? Well, if you are working with a client and they decide, hey, I'm not actually going to go on this trip anymore, but you've built this beautiful itinerary or Smart Proposal, and you don't want them to kind of have access to that any longer, you can use this to remove their access to that link. So any links that they have received will no longer lead to this itinerary or Smart Proposal. And the very cool thing is it will actually remove it from the Itineraries by TravelJoy app. So if they have connected it to their app, they will no longer have access to this itinerary if it has been archived. So very, very exciting feature again. And that rounds out our Smart Proposal and itinerary focus for this afternoon. How's everyone feeling? Pretty good? I'm seeing a lot of really positive comments in the chat, so I really appreciate y'all sharing the love. We're going to be moving on. Oh, actually, this goes hand in hand with Smart Proposals and itineraries, but it's not all the way dedicated to Smart Proposals and itineraries. And it's something that's been around for a little bit of time. So in the same vein, just going to move this back on over. There we go. Smart Proposals and itineraries. You may have noticed this sparkly new button for activities. So let's go ahead and unarchive this and head back into our proposal. So this is our search activities button. This is allowing you to book activities for your client or have your client book activities through Viator, through a Smart Proposal if you like. So if you click on this button, it's going to open up the search area for activities. Now it's automatically going to give you some options based on the city that you have already input for your client's trip. As you can see, we have a few New York options here, but you can always search for what you'd like to do in this box here. Once you found an activity that you like, you can click on the activity to learn a little bit more about it. Take a look at the overview, what's included with it, and most importantly, the cancellation policy at the bottom of the screen. And you'll notice on the right-hand side, we've got an overview of our proposal already. If you decide that you want to add this to your proposal, you can use the Add to Proposal button, and you'll notice it's been added there. Now, if we want to go back to our itinerary or Smart Proposal to continue working on it, we can use that Back to Itinerary button. We can click into the item that's been added. And you can add additional details if you'd like to, update the description if you'd like to. Just take in mind, you want to make sure that it matches what the vendor was stating on the Viator side of things. You can change the photos if you'd like to, get rid of anything that doesn't work. Any tickets or any information that you would like to include, you can add as a PDF. And you can also turn off the ability for your clients to book directly through the Smart Proposal if you'd like. So if you'd like to just show this activity as an option rather than giving them the ability to book, you can turn this toggle, which is hiding a little bit behind our chat bot. I'm very sorry. I'm a little zoomed in, as I mentioned earlier. And that will take away the ability to book through TravelJoy, and you can just display. But if you do choose to book through TravelJoy, you do have the opportunity to earn an 8% commission. You can also change your markup on this as well. So you'll be able to drag this slider to update the markup, and this is what your client is going to see when they access the itinerary or Smart Proposal. If you do allow your clients to book, it's going to look a little bit like this. We'll scroll on down. Actually, we'll use our overview to get down there. There we go. They'll have a Book Now button, and when they click on that button, it's going to take them to the booking page. So they'll be able to request a date, see what the availability is, and if that availability is there, they'll be able to complete the process. Once they complete their booking, they are going to receive an email confirmation, and you are going to receive an email confirmation as well. Commissions are usually paid out within a week of their travel. And so, yeah, that's activities through Viator. I'm going to go ahead and share our guide as well. And as a reminder, if you do have questions, please add them to the questions tab just below. It's that little circle with the questions mark. We do have joy makers who are answering questions in there now. We might answer some at the end of today's session, but we want to make sure those answers get to you. So if you are asking questions in the chat box, I highly recommend hopping over to the questions tab. All right, now let's shift gears and talk about forms. So we have added a new tool to our form sending process that we think you're going to really like. Instead of sending forms individually, hoping that your client will add new form information for additional travelers themselves, this new tool will allow you to easily request that one recipient fill out the form for additional travelers and optionally add any others. I'm going to head back to our home dashboard, head back into that dream getaway. I'm going to demonstrate this by sending Jane a form to fill out for John as well. I'm going to head up to that blue Create button in the top right-hand corner and select Form from the options that appear. And you'll notice we have this checkbox here, allow one recipient to submit forms for other travelers. If we click on this checkbox, it's going to remove John. But if we want John to say fill out for Jane instead, we can use this X next to Jane's name and have one or the other selected. So you can change this to John Doe if you'd like to. And then you would send the form as you normally would. So we're going to review the email and send it on over to Jane. And what this looks like, if we head on over to Jane's email inbox, we've received the form request. And you'll see John will be prompted to fill out his form first. He also has the ability to fill out Jane's form, and they can add a new traveler as well. So very, very exciting. Once they fill this out, it's going to populate as separate forms within your trip files tab, but makes it a little bit easier for you to collect those much needed details from the additional travelers. Sweet. And I have some breaking news for you. So another very, very exciting update to our forms feature has been released as of now. So as a thank you for attending today's webinar, I'm going to give you a first look. This tool will allow the ability to generate links to share with clients directly to a form. So you can now use this link to share, say, a client inquiry form with clients via social media, link trees, and more. So this feature will only be available for forms that do not contain a credit card authorization or signature portion. And I'm going to show you how to generate a link to an inquiry form to capture client details and create a new trip. All right, so we're gonna head to our templates tab on the left-hand side, and we're going to select forms from the options that appear. I'm going to select the client inquiry form, because again, we're gonna use this link to generate new trips from clients. And up at the top right-hand corner, next to that usual embed form option, we have the link form button. If you click on this, a link will be generated for you. You can copy that link and paste it in a new tab. And we have this beautiful standalone form that you can now share on social media, with your clients by email, however you'd like. This has been a feature request for quite some time, so we're very excited to roll this out for you. And it sounds like you're pretty excited too. So thank you everyone for, again, your feedback that made this happen. And thank you for being here today so that I can show you it. All right. Everyone feeling good? Everyone's still with me? We've got a few more things to go through if you can handle it. So I want to make sure we've got just a handful more. All right, so let's talk about some email updates. So we're very excited to showcase the addition of merge fields to email templates. Now, if you have been with TravelJoy for a while, you've probably seen the 4 main fields we offer. So I'm going to head into those templates now. We'll go into our Bon Voyage email. So you've probably seen client preferred name, client first name, client last name, and agency name. But did you know there's a whole lot more that you can now add? So by visiting the 3-dot menu up at the top right-hand corner in the formatting toolbar, you can use the insert dropdown to select from any of these in order to automatically pull information from your client's trip and display it within your email template. So you no longer have to write this out. So let's go ahead and say, as a reminder, just in case our clients forgot, your trip dates are, we'll use that insert, trip start date, to insert, trip end date, and I hope you have a lovely time in insert trip destination. Alrighty. I will not stop it. I'm very sorry. I just have lots of good things to share. So we're going to hit that save button to save that template. I'm going to show you how this looks when we head over to Jane and John's trip. We're going to use that dream getaway. We're going to create a new message and use our Bon Voyage template. And look at that, it input the dates of travel, it input the destination. This is a very, very exciting feature. And it's been out for a couple of months, but if you haven't seen it before, you've seen it now, and you can now use it to, again, save time. That's the whole goal here, name of the game. All right. We've got those email merge forms. Now let's talk about confirmation emails. So automated confirmation emails can now be sent after your client completes an action such as submitting a form or payment. There are 3 ways to select these confirmation emails at this time. So the first way is to select a default confirmation email template underneath your form templates. If we head into our client inquiry form, you'll notice that there is now a field to select the confirmation email. Now remember that the confirmation page is actually for your confirmations templates. That's going to be the thank you message that automatically appears on screen after they've submitted a form. This setting is actually going to allow you to send an email to your client immediately after they submit their form. So in my case, I might use an email template that I've already created called form confirmation email. If I save this and head to Jane's trip and head into create and form, and we're just going to send them to both right now. We're going to select the client inquiry. And you can also, if this is not already selected, it'll say none if your form template does not have any pre-selected email. You'll be able to select it here or change it if you'd like to in the moment. So that's the second place. Then we can review the email and send it on off to Jane and John. We'll get 2 emails in that inbox because they happen to share an email address. If we head into the email inbox and view the trip form, I don't have any required questions on the trip form, so I'm just going to submit this as is to show you what that email confirmation looks like. We'll get the thank you message, that confirmation page, but if we head back to Jane's email inbox, we should receive an immediate automated email that thanks them for completing their form. So if you wanted to include details such as like, hey, the next step is to schedule a Zoom session with me, here's my Calendly link. You absolutely can do that using the email templates. Create a confirmation email template, then select it in one of those 2 ways that I showed you. I'm also going to show you how to select this for invoices as well. So when you have built an invoice, we're going to head to the trip files tab since I have one already ready to go for Jane. We'll go here. The way to select this email is going to be at the bottom of the screen, underneath settings, just underneath that same confirmation page that we saw when we were building the form template. We've got the confirmation email template here. We can select another confirmation email. Again, I created this, the invoice confirmation email template. And now that's going to save. So when a payment is completed, they'll receive that automated email instead, thanking them for completing their payment. Or if they've done a supplier invoice, this email could even detail something like, hey, I haven't charged your card yet. I'll let you know once a card payment has been completed to the vendor. So a really great way of kind of backing your steps and your process and keeping that line of communication open with your clients. Perfect. All righty. We just have 2 more features to go through today. So we might wrap up a little bit early so that I can kind of look at the questions tab, see if there's anything that I can highlight. I see that there's a lot of them in there, so I'm very excited to dive in there. We're going to talk about 2 updates to our groups and group booking pages. So I'm going to head into my test group here to begin showing you the first one, which is the ability to add a traveler to the group status tab. Now, in the past, you may have added a traveler to your group using this add button, which is completely okay. But you'll also notice that if you are utilizing a group booking page, you may not see that traveler on the group status tab with the rest of your travelers. So tracking can be a little bit hard. We have created a tool to kind of help with this, which is the add traveler button. So if I head to the group status tab, we'll see my 1 traveler here on this test group. I'm going to navigate to this add traveler button. And you can select a traveler from your client list using this drop-down menu here. So let's go ahead and say me. Oh, actually, I'm already on this trip. Let's send Jane on this trip. There we go. And we can choose the package we'd like to book them into, change their room, make sure that they're in the correct room, keep them on their same trip or on a new trip. So if you want to add them to another room, you can use this tool to do so as well. And who the invoice is paid by. So right now, Jane's standalone, but if we wanted to add her to, say, my room, we could go ahead and change this to one of a limited with my name on it, move her to my trip, and choose whether or not I'll be paying for the invoice or if she will. We'll say she will. We'll select save, and look at that. She's been added to the group status tab. And underneath by room, we're going to be showing his roommates. Lots of celebration again in the chat. So happy to hear it. I have one more thing for you, which also is a big feature request that has now been available. You can head on over to the group files tab and take a look at your group booking page. So before, there wasn't a way to unpublish group booking pages. Say you want to keep that information, you don't want to delete the group booking page, but you just want to unpublish it. Maybe make some tweaks, then republish it and send that link back out to your clients. You can now do that by using the archive feature. So again, I've located my group booking page underneath the group files tab. I'm using the three-dot menu to select archive. And now that group booking page link will not lead to anything. So that has been unpublished essentially. You can still click into the group booking page to make any edits that you need to moving forward, but you'll notice there's no publish button here. This is just going to allow you to complete those edits. And when you're ready to republish, if you'd like to republish, you can head back to that group files tab, locate that three-dot menu, and select publish once more. And there you have it. Awesome. All righty. That's it. And I'm saying that's it, but that's a lot. So hopefully you're feeling very excited about all of these new features. And we're feeling excited too. So again, this is not the last you've heard from us for new features. We have a lot coming up and that we can't share today, but keep an eye out. I'm going to take a look at the questions tab, and I may just take a break to take a sip of water. I'm kind of recovering from a cold. So give me just a moment while I turn my camera off to take that sip of water, and then we'll look at some of the questions that we have. All right, folks, let's see. Oh my goodness, so many questions. Okay, I'm gonna take a few steps back to see if there's any that I can pull out. So there might be a few moments of silence while I take a look and see if there's anything that I can pull out. Angela, you asked a wonderful question. Do we need to have an account with Viator in order to book these activities through TJ? You do not. So you don't have to have an account directly with Viator in order to book activities through the Smart Proposal or itinerary options. All righty. Perfect. And again, someone did ask this question. I do want to highlight it once more. The questions tab and the chat box will be included on the recording that you receive after today's session. You'll receive that by email about 5 minutes after we conclude. Okay. Awesome. Lots of Viator questions. Thank you, everybody. So many questions. This is so fun. I appreciate your guys' patience while I'm looking through this. Ooh. And it looks like Alan is joining us today as well. Thank you, Alan, for answering some questions as well. Perfect. That actually is a great question too. So when the primary traveler completes a form for someone else, when we're using that multi-form option or multi-traveler form option, if you will, does TJ replace the information for the primary traveler with the new client's information? So that information will only be synced with that secondary traveler, as Alan did state. So multiple forms and form responses will show up in the trip files tab. So you'll be able to access the different form responses for each traveler, provided that your client is using that little option we had here. Let me take a quick peek, see if I can show that again. Maybe it's this one. Nope, gotta go back. This one here. I believe it's the first one. There we go. So provided your client is completing their information on the correct tab associated with them, then that information will not get overwritten. Okay. Awesome. So many words of kindness in here as well. Really makes me happy to see. do want to show you can do the final payment date for those merge fields that we talked about for emails. So it looks like Dawn asked, how about a final payment date or other trigger dates? If we head back to our templates for emails and head into that Bon Voyage email as an example, you're going to be able to bring in the group name if you want to. You're going to be able to bring in the final payment due date. So this was definitely key to what Dawn's question was. That's going to be the only invoice date that you can pull in. But yes, you do have the ability to pull in the final payment due date as well. Awesome. Okay. Where does it pull the trip destination from? In other words, where do we need to be sure it's entered? I think someone had asked this about where is like the trip dates coming from as well. So those dates are dependent upon the information that you add here. So if you head into edit trip, because we submitted a form that had the dates as blank, unfortunately that was my fault, the travel dates did get removed from here. So all the information is going to be pulling in regards to the destination, the travel dates from this pop-up here. So I believe the trip start date was January 10th through the 13th. But as you can see, I had the destination in there as well as the trip start dates and end dates. So it's going to be pulling from that information that's vital on your trip. Okay. Thank you again, Joy Makers. You did such a wonderful job answering questions today. Looks like we're almost near the top. Okay, time permits. Yeah, absolutely. So I will go over this again since we have a little bit of time. So if time permits, can you go over how to link a form again? It says my link button is disabled. So I want to make sure I go over that really important key piece of information as well, because this might be what's occurring. So underneath templates and forms, if we head to client inquiry form, if your link form button is disabled, there's a good chance that you have a credit card authorization enabled or a signature portion enabled. You can check this by using the show advanced form options to make sure that these two are not going to be checked. If those are checked, then you likely will not be able to create a link. So at this time, you want to make sure those are unchecked if you want to link this form out. Once those are unchecked, you should be able to use that link form option to generate that link. Hopefully that helps. Okay. Perfect. And I see Marissa's answering that question there. Oh, that actually is a great key piece of information that I didn't get to go over. So Trish asked on the new form, adding new guests, if the form asks for the address, is the form exactly the same for the new guests? So it can be, or it cannot be. It's completely up to you. So when we are heading into that form and getting ready to send it and using that blue create button and form, if we use this option to allow one recipient to submit forms for other travelers, you can actually offer two different forms depending on the traveler. So if you only need certain information from your primary traveler, you can select a different form template here if you need to. You probably wouldn't be using the group booking page registration form, but just to give you an idea that you can send two different forms. So the tabs will differ based on the traveler, based on the information that you place in here. So that was a great question. All right. Okay, so we do have a few questions in here that are not pertaining to our features that we're talking about today. Unfortunately, we won't be going over anything that is not related to the features that we talked about today, but you are welcome to join us tomorrow for TravelJoy 101 if you'd like to, or you can join us for office hours. I'll be talking briefly about how to attend those events in just a bit. And a few questions in here about asking about future feature releases. Just as a reminder, we won't be able to talk about those today. For full transparency, a lot of us on the Joymaker team won't see those features until they are released. So even if we wanted to talk about them, we really can't. But Please keep your eye out for anything new and updating and announcements from us. We try to be on top of those announcements when something new and exciting is released. Okay, folks. We're in the final 10 minutes, and it looks like our questions have slowed down. If you do have any further questions about the features that we've talked about today, please be sure to add them to the questions tab. And thank you, Alan, for posting office hours and TravelJoy 101 in the chat. Again, I'll be talking about that in just a few moments. Amazing. All right, folks. It looks like I'm going to go ahead and move into the end of our webinar, just checking in with the team, making sure everything's going good. Okay. All right. And one more question here. Will the multiple options work with cruises on the smart proposals? Yes, the answer is yes. So you can use the options to break up cruises. You can use the options to break up activities. You can use the options to break up hotels if you need to as well. Definitely can do that. All right. Now, we are getting to that time where we need to wrap up. So before we go, I do want to point out how to get in touch with the Joymaker team if you don't already know how, or if your questions did not get answered today. Very first thing is this chat button on the screen in the bottom right-hand corner. We talked about this a little bit at the beginning of the webinar. So you can use this to chat live with Joymakers when we are available. We are around usually 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. You can also reach out to us at hello@traveljoy.com by email. Word of advice, if you are able to reach out to us from the email associated to your TravelJoy account, this definitely helps. We want to make sure that we are able to troubleshoot as efficiently as possible for you, and this allows us to verify your account ownership. Now, if you are interested in attending TravelJoy 101, our brand new member webinar, where we go through things like sending forms for the first time, creating group booking pages, and invoices, you are more than welcome to join us. Alan did post it, but it is a little further up in the chat, so I'm going to go ahead and post the link once more. This is going to be the link for tomorrow's session, but you're welcome to join us any Wednesday that we are having TravelJoy 101. And office hours, which is a 30-minute Q&A. So office hours is going to allow you to come in, talk to a Joymaker. We answer questions live on screen. We can't answer questions that are specifically about your account or about your specific clients, but we can walk you through basic scenarios. So if you are interested in learning how to do something a little bit differently, you're more than welcome to come and ask questions about it. To keep up to date with the newest features, I highly recommend checking out our See What's New with TravelJoy guide, which is due for an update with all these new features. So please keep checking back on this guide in the future to stay up to date. I will go ahead and post that guide in the queue. We hope you enjoyed seeing our newest features in action today, and rest assured there is much more to come. If you had a question in the questions tab that was not answered during today's session, please feel free to reach out to us using the chat button or at hello@traveljoy.com, and we'd be happy to get that answered for you as soon as possible. So thank you again for joining us today, and have a great rest of your day, everyone. Take care.